Hey all, so my compressor died while I was working on all the rust repair on the van. You may have noticed at least the last one, if not the last two, I wasn't using any air tools to do the work. It was kind of a pain. It actually probably made the work a little less higher quality just because I had limited my options. But this old Craftsman I've had for something like 15 years. It won't turn on. I've tried it on different plugs, so it's not an electrical getting to it issue. It's an issue with the unit itself. I've already replaced it with a newer, quieter compressor because this thing is very, very loud. But I want to find out what happened with this. So this is going to be a sort of post-mortem slash repair slash just figure out what happened, because I'll feel better about having replaced it if this is unrepairable. If this is repairable, I can repair it and sell it and make a little bit of my money back on the replacement unit. If it isn't repairable, I may be able to turn this into a pony tank to give me more air capacity on the new compressor. But regardless, I just kind of want to see if I can figure out what happened to it. So I'm going to dig into it and take you along as I sort of poke at it and inspect it. So, having pulled all this off and looking at it, the motor is basically all or nothing. That power wire isn't a ground wire going to it. There's no, unless there's an overheat sensor built in somewhere in here, there's nothing smart up here. It's just a dumb motor. It's seemingly in good shape. The windings are a little dirty and have some streaking on them. Everything in here is dusty as hell, as you saw. But I don't see anything in here that explains a complete and zero failure. I think I found a problem, or at least I fixed the problem. So that fiery ball you saw was because of the electronic cleaner here that hadn't evaporated off. It got arc flared off. I'm not worried about that. So one of two things was the problem. Either there's a bad winding on the compressor, so if it stops in that specific spot, it won't restart, or the contacts got a little too dirty, and actually now that I'm looking at them, they've suddenly polished up a bunch. So I think they might have gotten a little too dirty and either were arcing between each other or were just not making good connection. Because so yeah, actually, looking at the contacts are much nicer now. There's a little more arcing than I would optimally like from this top brush. But yeah, I'm just gonna get the brush up off the thing so I can get some cleaner in there. I think I may actually even get a tiny bit of sandpaper. If I'm lucky, what has happened here is just contacts got a little too gross from all the dust and everything in here, and we're not making good contact. And all I needed to do was give everything a little bit of a clean and polish. So, given this was the first time this failed to fire, I'm gonna suspect that it's not a bad winding, especially with how gross everything was in here. That appears to be that. This is what I've been working on. You can see it's all nice and shiny copper now. That was black with actual, what looked like rust streaks in it. So between spraying with the cleaner and giving it a polish, that's all nice and clean now. I know the ends of these brushes are good. There's still a ton of life left in these brushes, so this motor should be good for another good long while. I'm going to reassemble this and run it a few more times, and then I think I'm going to call it fixed. And realistically, if I really wanted to, I could return the other one and go back to using this one, but the other one is so much quieter than this, it's unbelievable. Like, I had it running during part of what I was talking about, and I don't know whether I'm going to have used that in the final video, but you could hear me clearly. All fixed. That was surprisingly easy, cost me nothing, took almost no time. And now I can clean this thing up and I'll put it up on Craigslist and probably make some money back. The only other thing I need to do with this is clean out the drain, like actually take that hose off and see what's there. Because when I turn that petcock, it'll dribble water, but it feels like you should be getting more out of it. So I don't know if it's clogged or what, but I want to find out, because if I'm getting a shit ton of rust, or if I'm getting rust chunks out of this, it means this tank is probably bad, and I don't want to sell it to somebody else who might have a bomb on their hand. All right, so I don't know how much of that recorded, but I cleaned out the tank and drain and everything. So this was the drain that I had on it. And the last few times I used it, I would open it up and it would dribble a little bit out, but not nearly enough. And I've been running it a lot lately. So I was suspicious. So this was the thing I was going to do anyway. This just prompted me to do it a little bit faster. I pulled this off, and it turned out this was packed with gunk. A little bit of rust, not that much, like no big chunks of rust, but a lot of just, yeah, like grime and dirt and stuff that's been, accumulating. It was just enough with the moisture to plug the end of this. So I removed this. I ran a screwdriver up in there to just sort of clean out the stuff that had also collected like on top of this in the threads, and flipped it over and let it run out here. I've got probably, I don't know, maybe at most, maybe like a half a gallon of water here, which, given this compressor was running non-stop for several weeks in the rain, is not all that bad. And it looks gross, but again, this is mostly like dirt rather than rust. There's definitely some rust in here. I mean, it's a 15-year-old compressor, but it's not as scary as it should be. Where this is running further down in the garage, it's actually running clear, so there's just a gross kind of here, and then it thins out. No big particles of rust of the sort that worry me came out of it. There was very, very fine rusty silt, but not like the kind of big amounts and big chunks that you would need for the tank to have been compromised inside. By the time this was rusty enough to be dangerous, there would be big bits of rust coming out of it. So I feel very confident that this tank is safe. Now that I've cleaned this out, I blasted this with compressed air to get the clog out, and then I ran brake clean through it to just flush out the rest of it. So this is now nice and clean. This should function like it's supposed to. So I'm gonna put this hose back on the bottom with some fresh thread sealant, and then this thing is, I think I can declare it back up and running in full without any issues. I'm gonna clean it, obviously. I feel a little bit guilty having replaced it because it turned out to be a simple fix of just the commutator is dirty. So cleaning the commutator and the brushes, and it seems to be running just fine, and then this just needed to be cleaned out to get the drain to work properly. But realistically, the new one that I just bought produces air faster and is massively quieter. This thing is crazy loud. Like, I have tinnitus because I do so much with power tools and everything. It's kind of a given. So this could activate it. If I was in here working a bunch, this would be an issue. The new one, you heard it earlier running. It's conversation volume. It runs at 69 decibels, which is nice. But yeah, it means that it's not deafening. It means that I can work in here with it running without it just making this entire place just deafening to be in. Potentially I can record video while it's running, which will just make it easier to produce some stuff, because there's been several times where I've sat around doing nothing for 10 or 15 minutes or skipped explaining something to you because the compressor was running and I didn't want to wait. So this is definitely, the new one's definitely a quality of life update. This compressor, once I clean it up, is going to go up for sale. It'll go to somebody who needs a compressor, who doesn't mind the noise, or needs to buy one cheaper and is willing to make that trade-off. And this should serve the next owner pretty well. Where I had a hose attached here, I'm going to put another connection fitting so that they'll have, this used to have just one connection fitting, but they'll have two, so that'll be nice for them. And then yeah, it'll go on and it'll live another life, and I will have a slightly quieter garage. I think I can call that a win. Call this fix a win because it didn't cost me anything and I didn't have to wait for parts. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will come back to you with a little bit more content next time. Thanks. Bye.